Yes. Okay, start, huh? Okay, okay. Thank you. Bye. Okay, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to welcome you to ICMeSH 2020 conference. You are currently in the parallel sessions under the theme Business and Economy for Sustainable Future. Let me introduce my name. I am Associate Professor Dr. Maran Marimuthu from the Management and Humanities Department. Now, I would like to share with you the montage of the Department of Management and Humanities in terms of our undergraduate and postgraduate studies. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Let us Thank you very much. Let us now continue with the parallel sessions, whereby there will be six presentations in these sessions. Each presentation will take about 10 minutes, not exceeding 10 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for Q&A sessions. Without much ado, I would like to introduce the first presenter, Dr. Abdul Muttalib Embong, University Malaysia Terengganu, who will be presenting his paper on investigating the business performance on the financial well-being of the government retirees. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all listen to the recorded video presentations. Thank you very much. The sessions will be followed by Q&A sessions, only 5 minutes for each sessions. Thank you. Each presentations. Thank you. Can we
And
have
Assalamualaikum. I am Rozamzia Afzainizam. Welcome to ICMeSH 2020. The title of my presentation today is Investigating the Business Performance on the Financial Well-being of the Government Retirees. Moving to the abstract. Population aging. Where there is growth in percentage of older person in the population, is becoming a worldwide phenomenon due to better healthcare and lower birth rates. The phenomenon of population aging brings with it both challenges and opportunities. The challenges of an aging population include social, health, and economic support of the elderly. Malaysia is recognizing the needs to address this issue of financially supporting an aging population. The purpose of the paper was to investigate the impact of business on financial well-being of the aging, specifically the government retirees. A questionnaire-based survey was conducted among retirees who were in business throughout Malaysia that employ a cross-sectional design. 41 respondents were successfully interviewed. Statistically, procedures for the analysis include descriptive analysis and a profile analysis using scattered plot on the perceived business performance versus financial well-being. The survey revealed that the majority of the respondents operate business in the services, trade or retail industries which were set up and fully owned by themselves. Resource-wise, the majority had very low financial capital, human capital, and social capital. The study provides some empirical evidence that the retirees in business may be categorized into opportunity-driven and necessity-driven groups. The paper concludes that there is the need to find alternative income generation methods for the necessity-driven groups. Making paid work accessible to the elderly must be urgently put on the national agenda. For the introduction, there are many possible scenarios facing a will-be retirees. Continuing to work after retirement can be either a necessity or an option. For those who simply cannot afford to retire, they face a challenge. Finding employment at an old age may be difficult due to age discrimination. Among reasons that older workers are unlikely to be recruited are perceived inability, unwillingness to adapt, lack of suitability to jobs, and declined physical abilities and costs. In Malaysia, older workers are associated with negative stereotype, and ironically, the perception is worse among older employers than young employers. This stereotype exists in spite of research that has shown that job performance may not be declined with age and may in fact increase with age among professionals. In short, the likelihood of breach employment and increasing work opportunities becoming a norm in Malaysia is not guaranteed as it would be required by in front of employers. As for literature reviews, many researchers like McKay, Weber, Schaepers, Parker, Speller, Skader-Flavey, Kautner have done a research on retirees in business. Little empirical evidence is available to support generalizable hypotheses of how and what happened to retirees who become self-employed after retiring from full-time employment. Be it self-employment or starting a business at an older age is daunting task. Having a culture that is not hostile to older people being in business is important. Aging is where there is a prejudice or stereotyping older person, and it's important to understand how acceptability of an older person to start business is perceived. For the research question, thus, given the lack of information on the characteristics of retirees in business and their financial well-being, the research question of this study is, does business performance influence the financial well-being of the government retiree in business? The objective of this research is to investigate the relationship of perceived business performance on the financial well-being of the government retiree in business. For the methodology, the data was gathered via survey using interviewer-administered questionnaire. The sample was selected from retirees from government service who were in business at the time of the data were collected. The respondents of this research are 41, and during the interview, the respondents were asked an open-ended question about their motivation for starting the business. They were then asked to rate their financial well-being for an 11-statement instrument measured on a 10-point scale. This paper presents the descriptive analysis of the socio-demographic background, perceived business performance, and the financial well-being of the respondents. Scattered plot and excerpt of interviews of the respondent by typology is analyzed to further describe the financial well-being of elderly entrepreneurs. For the descriptive analysis, majority of the respondents were male, and 63% of the respondents were aged between 56 to 60 years old. Based on Table 1, respondents' financial well-being by group. The frequency of medium financial well-being group is 17.1%, and the high financial well-being is 82.9%. The scatter plot of respondents according to financial well-being and perceived business performance with the grouping. Table 4.4 revealed four major groups of government retiree in business. The first is moderate high business performance with high well-being, where 26 respondents scored between 6 to 10 on the perceived business performance scale and between 81 to 100 on the financial well-being scale. The second group is moderate business performance with low moderate well-being, where 5 respondents scored between 6 to 7 on the perceived business performance scale, but scored below 80 and the financial well-being scale. The third group was low moderate business performance, moderate high well-being, who scored between 3 to 6 on the perceived business performance and 85% to 97% on the financial well-being scale. Finally, 7 respondents were in the low business performance, low moderate well-being category, which scores between 4 to 5 on the perceived business performance and between 57 to 78. The following presents the profile of each typology. Since the focus on this study is the desire to improve the financial well-being of the government retiree in business, Group 2 and Group 3 have been combined as they represented those that scored below 80 on the financial well-being scale. The three profiles are the moderate high perceived business performance, moderate high financial well-being, low moderate perceived business performance with moderate high financial well-being, and finally low moderate perceived business performance with low financial well-being. For the moderate high perceived business performance and moderate high financial well-being, the group who have achieved this level of success are highly motivated to be in business, be it for economic or non-economic reasons. Technically, they do not all fit the constrained entrepreneur typology of Singh and De Noble as those who have always wanted to start business and thus intrinsically motivated. Some of their motivation were extrinsically motivated by money and children. For those with low moderate perceived business performance and moderate high financial well-being, this group of government retiree in business appears to meet Singh and De Noble's typology of the rational entrepreneur. A rational entrepreneur is those who appear to weigh the cost and benefit of being in business. Should the benefits outweigh the cost, then they will start the business. The costs and benefits need not necessarily be in terms of money, but also the psychological cost and benefit as well. For low, moderate, perceived business performance with low financial well-being, the poorer performing group were not necessarily in business for economic reasons. Some were in it for the interest or because of family influence. The majority of those in this group still have debt and or extraordinary upcoming expenses such as medical expenses, children education, and pilgrimage. Only one respondent did not admit to having either. For the conclusion, these studies provide an initial understanding of the retirees in business and the challenges they face in achieving their financial well-being. It also provides some empirical evidence that retirees in business may be categorized into opportunity-driven and necessity-driven growth. The findings that those who had to take out loans have extraordinarily expenses due to illness or dependence have poorer financial well-being. Some of this financial distress may come in after the decision to become an entrepreneur. So it is critical that elderly entrepreneurs to be made aware of life cycle expenditures. This type of knowledge is not common in financial education training. These are the list of references, and that's all from me. Thank you.
The presenter is Dr. Noor Zamzia Afzai Nizam from University of Malaysia Terengganu. And due to some unavoidable circumstances, the presenter, Dr. Muttalib Ambong, is unable to be with us today. So I believe we can't proceed with Q&A sessions. So without much ado, let us proceed with the next presenter. We have Dr. Abdullah Muhammad Al-Shukhaili from University of Nizwa, Oman, who will be presenting his paper on impact of entrepreneurship educations on the development of entrepreneurial activities. The case of Omani undergraduate students. This is a very interesting paper. Let us all here listen to the recorded presentations. Thank you.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. You are most welcome to this presentation. I am Dr. Abdullah Shukhaili, and today I am going to present about our paper, Impact of Entrepreneurship Education on the Development of Entrepreneurial Activities, the case of Omani undergraduate students. The co-authors for this paper is Prof. Norzan Muhammad Qasim, Ms. Anju Rafi, Mr. Muhammad Munir Ali, and Ms. Kauthal Kindi, and we are from the College of Economic Management and Information System from University of Nizwa, and as well we are also from the Entrepreneurship Center. In this paper, in this study, as we know that supporting entrepreneurship and innovation have always been important keys to the many countries. And for the developing countries, it is coming one of the better strategies. So this research work will shed a light on the effectiveness of academic entrepreneurship education on the development of entrepreneurial activities for the case of Oman. In Oman, the government has started to request from all of the higher education institutions in order to implement teaching a course is called Entrepreneurship, Creativity and Innovation as one of the requirements for all of the students in their academic. So there are many studies about entrepreneurship education and entrepreneurial intention in the literature, but there are very few studies that focusing on the understanding on why and how entrepreneurial education can be impact on the intention of the graduated students in order to start a new businesses after they graduated. In Oman, we have one of the issues for the government is how to find a job opportunities for the job seekers. And every year we have more than 60 students who are graduated from the secondary school, and they are exactly looking for the jobs. So the government, they want to impose, or they want to give this course to all of the students in order to have the culture of entrepreneurship. But we don't understand what is the effectiveness of giving like this course to the graduated students, or to the graduating students who are still studying at the university. So the government has given this course, but as I said, we need to understand what is the influence and what is the impact of taking this course on the entrepreneurial intention for those graduating students. Therefore, the objective of this study is to find out the impact of entrepreneurship education on creating entrepreneurial intention for the students. So we need to find out the impact of entrepreneurship education in terms of know what, know how, know who, and know why on creating entrepreneurship intention, like for the attitudes, subjectives, norms, and perceived behavior control among undergraduate students in Oman. We are going by this study to contribute to the debate on the impact of academic entrepreneurship education on the development of entrepreneurial activities, specifically to the developing countries. In that sense, we hope that this study is going to contribute to the literature by providing a solution and some recommendation to the policymakers and higher education institutions to overcome any issues or barriers in teaching entrepreneurship. The result of this study will shed a light on the policies and strategies that should be undertaken by all of the stakeholders in order to boost the self-employment. And in addition, it can also fill the gap in the literature regard the student skills and the teaching methods that are used in order to teach entrepreneurship to the students. So the main goal of our research work is to contribute to the debate on the effectiveness of academic entrepreneurship education on the development of entrepreneurial activities. And we build on the previous work on the theory of planned behavior, the TPP, by the Agizin in 1991, and the theory grounded knowledge proposed by File in 2006 and the co-authors, and on entrepreneurship education theory, which was also proposed by the NABI in 2018 to design the conceptual framework of this study. So in this study, we are going to investigate the impact of entrepreneurship education, as we said, in the entrepreneurial world intention. There are many previous studies that confirm the importance of entrepreneurship education in creating new business venture, but still few studies have investigated the effectiveness of entrepreneurship education policy, especially what in the developing countries. So this is the conceptual framework. We were adapted this one from the studies done by the SEN ATL in 2017. So we have two types of things. So we call the entrepreneurship education and its impact in the entrepreneurial attention. So for the theory of the entrepreneurship education, so we can understand the know why, know who, know how, and know what, and how can be impact on the attitudes, subjective norms, perceived behavior control, and all of those, how can they impact in the entrepreneurship intention. So we have 10 hypotheses, and in this hypothesis, we propose that there is a positive relationship between the TPP variables, which are the attitudes, subjective norms, entrepreneurial intention, okay, and how can these can be what impact on the entrepreneurial intention. And then we have said that how can there will be like an inter relationship between those components together. We can look to this one from the theory of planned behavior. So there are many empirical studies have used the theory of planned behavior, which is the TPB, to explain the relationship between the three variables, the attitudes, subjective norms, and perceived behavior, and how its impact also on the entrepreneurial what intention. So as well, we have, as I said, there are the entrepreneurship education components. So we have the know how, know what, know why, and know how, and how can be there is what a relationship between these components. So based on the this study from the Sun 2017, we describe these variables. So the know what is the independent variable. So we have also the know why and know who, know how, and all of those are the mediation variables, and all of those has what impact in the dependent variable, which is the entrepreneurial intention. So a survey questionnaire has been designed on the above variables, and we have targeted the students who are in the higher education institution Oman, in the public and the private universities, and we have already given to them this questionnaire. And the finding of this study has been mentioned about the relationship between the these components of the TPP, and also as well with the entrepreneurial education components. If we look to the finding, we have seen that there is what a positive impact in some of those variables, and especially in the know what, know why, and know how. Finally, this study has contributed to the literature and have given also a feedback and also a recommendation to the policymakers in order to improve the effectiveness of entrepreneurship education, and what types of skills that can be given what to the students in order to improve their entrepreneurial intention. Thank you so much for listening, and you are most welcome for your question.
Dr. Abdullah Muhammad Al Shukaili. Let us now move on to a very interesting sessions, Q&A sessions. If you have any questions, let me read out if there is any questions posted here from the chat box. We have one question, Dr. Abdullah. Is there any strong empirical model for you to support exactly what you're trying to achieve out of this study from other countries?
You can hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes, okay.
Dr.
So you
Abdullah?
asked about any advice? What
I
then?
was asking you, is there any strong empirical model that actually supports the expected outcome of your studies?
Yes, exactly. We tried to run different models from that one we proposed it in the paper, And we found also another type of hypothesis which can be linked to the intention, not only just that one we proposed in our submitted paper. So yes, there is another models we proposed two extra models which can be used in running like this kind of studies.
Okay, thank you very much. One more question. What will be the essential component on know why in the initial stage of entrepreneurial education deployment at undergraduate level? Do you have any comments on this?
Sorry again, can you please repeat to me the question?
Yeah, what would be the essential component on know why in initial stage of entrepreneurial education deployment at undergraduate level?
Yes, see, in this one, we try exactly to understand from the graduated students if they are planning to engage in self-employment and what exactly the reason behind them, which can support them in order to engage. So, what are the motivation or what motivates them to engage in the entrepreneurial activities in this time or in this level of study?
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you,
Abdullah
Dr.
Muhammad, for the wonderful sharings. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot. Now we shall proceed to the next presenter. We have Mr. Said Ahmad Azhar Ali from University Technology Petronas will be presenting his paper on investors' risk perceptions in the context of efficient market hypothesis. This is a very timely, conducted research, conceptual framework for Malaysian and Indonesian stock exchange. Let us welcome Mr. Said on screen. Thank you very much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Sayyid Imad Azhar Ali from University Technology Petronas and Malaysia, and I'm doing PhD in management. And today I am here to present my title in this conference, ICMeSH PS2 Investors. My paper title is Investors' Risk Perception in the Context of Efficient Market Hypothesis, Conceptual Framework for Malaysian and Indonesian Stock Exchange. The other co-authors for this paper is Associate Prof. Dr. Lai Fong Boon and Dr. Muhammad Kashif Shah. The background of my paper is based on one famous theory in finance, that is about efficient market hypothesis. According to this hypothesis, it believes that the stock prices in a stock market, that is the share prices, they always fully reflect all available information which is there in the market. That is, all publicly available information automatically reflect that particular price. So since the price is reflected, the information is reflected in the price, so all investors are assumed to be equally informed about the particular stock company. So there will be very little chances of gaining abnormal returns for investors. Additionally, it believes that the stock prices follow a random walk. That is, the stock prices do not follow a particular trend, they follow a random walk. It could be up and down anytime. The contrary thought of efficient market hypothesis is adaptive market hypothesis, that believes that the efficient markets are not always efficient. Proposed by Andrew Lowe 2004 and 2005 in his two papers. He is being a top critic of ICMeSH. He argues that investors' behavior changes with a particular time, and it depends on the behavioral prejudice of a particular investor, and market efficiency varies accordingly. And he also proposed about equity risk premium will have a variable nature and will be dependent on the demographics and stock market investors' path. So based on this, we can have a research problem. Studies have argued and market efficiency debate over the period of time over many different markets, especially for developed market. We can find various studies on that. On the other hand, investors are always meticulous about high gains with a reasonable level of risk. It is not necessary that if there is less risk, there will be chances of high gains. So investors are ready to invest their money given a particular risk, but with a particular gain as well. Studies in this regard, especially for risky markets, that is for volatile markets, are limited, which have examined the market efficiency. Especially for ASEAN 5 indices, the Malaysia and Indonesia Stock Exchange, that is Malaysia Stock Exchange, the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange, and Jakarta Stock Exchange are considered as most volatile for among ASEAN 5 indices. Based on that, we can have three research questions and three research objectives. Our first research question based on examining the market efficiency between two markets, that is the Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange and Jakarta Stock Exchange. Our first research question examines that whether the market efficiency differs between KLSC and Jakarta Stock Exchange. The second research question is about risk return profile. That is risk the additional for how much return actually sorry for how much return the for how much return the investor is ready to put ready to risk their money. Thirdly, do the risk premium differs between Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange and Jakarta Stock Exchange? Risk premium actually defines as the excess of return over a risk-free rate. So these three will be our indicators of examination: the market efficiency, the risk return profile, the risk premium. So we have derived three research questions based on that, and accordingly, three research objectives: evaluating the market efficiency. The second one is analyzing the risk return profile and to compare and rationalize the risk thinking. So research questions. Our study will be addressing these three research questions and three research objectives. The literature review in this regard, the market different levels of market efficiency being concluded in different markets as discussed earlier. The major argument has been in the studies about the risk reward relationship. The risk reward relationship is daily or it is constant, or how it changes, when it changes. So there is one debate about risk reward relationship. The second cluster, the second debate is about the how to examine the market efficiency for a particular market. That the stock market prices follow a particular trend or not. Then what tool we are using to test that efficiency, it is another debate. So contrary to ICMeSH advocates emerging of adaptive market hypothesis, that is by Andrew Lowe. He proposed he proposed a particular test known as Jung box test, which will be shown in the next slide. And based on that, we have our first hypothesis. The market efficiency measured by different tests of predictability differs significantly between Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange and Jakarta Stock Exchange. So as discussed, there are different tests. So different tests for measuring the efficiency, and different two stock markets in our subject right now. So we will be measuring efficiency for two different markets based on two different tests. The second aspect, the risk reward relationship. Previously, it has been measured through CAPM model, the famous, but then later moved to arbitrage pricing model. Then, however, the development of Sharpe ratio has basically gained popularity because it's due to its simpler calculation, simpler measurement. It represents the excess of return over a particular level of risk. The limited evidence is there for market volatility and risk-adjusted return. So based on that, our second hypothesis, changes in market efficiency will significantly affect the risk-reward relationship for Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange and Jakarta Stock Exchange. So where we will be examining that whether the market efficiency change will affect the risk-reward relationship or not. Third research aspect, that is the market risk premium. The market risk premium do also vary with the market efficiency or not. The third hypothesis, examining that aspect. Methodology, we aim to collect 10 years of daily, monthly and weekly data from stock indices of Kuala Lumpur Stock Exchange and Jakarta Stock Exchange. 10,000 observations in total. Unit of analysis, index return and risk-free rate. Data collection from Thomson Reuters data stream, and time frame will be from 2011 till 2020. The data analysis, how to measure that, we propose different tests to measure the efficiency: Jung box test, Low McKinley variance ratio test, Jordaning heteroscedasticity, consistent variance ratio test, and other tests as well, risk reward relationship, Sharpe ratio as discussed. So here are some tests. The market return will be examined through this way, ln pt upon pt minus 1 famous way. The auto relationship, here is a Bloom box test, here is the particular calculation for particular exhibition of that particular test, unit root test, and then the risk reward relationship, here is a Sharpe ratio, the average return, excess of return over a particular level of risk, and lastly measuring risk premium, expected return, and risk free. So these tests will be used to examine our hypothesis 1. For hypothesis 2, this test, market Sharpe ratio, and hypothesis number 3, measuring risk premium. To conclude with, we anticipate that the results of this study are expected to provide new insight into EMS theory and also a time-varying risk return property by incorporating the Sharpe ratio. Thirdly, the study will provide insight of stock market behavior to help investors to better strategize their portfolio investment positioning and to reap the most efficient risk-based return. Lastly, the study is expected to help authorities in regulating the financial markets and for investors, especially when they want to earn long-term returns at minimum risk. With this note, I would like to sign off with this. Thank you very much, ESCON, and thank you very much, ICMeSH. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.
Mr. Said Ahmad.
Yes, doctor. Yes, doctor.
Thank you very much. We shall proceed to Q&A sessions. Let me just check whether there is any questions posted here. Okay, probably one question being shared here. Between the two countries, I believe both countries fall under the, I think, based on the hint given, both countries come under semi-strong of market efficiency. So which country holds a stronger symptoms of semi-strong form of market efficiency between the two countries? Ahmad?
Apparently, although the study has not been examined, it's a proposed study, but apparently the results are expected to be more efficient in the Malaysian stock market, because Malaysian stock market is more developed as compared to Jakarta Stock Exchange due to reasons such as higher internet connectivity here. The regulatory requirements are much more stringent as compared to Indonesia. So we expect that the results, that the markets will be more efficient for KLSE, for Bursa Malaysia.
Okay. Thank you very much for your explanations. And indeed, your study is going to be very, very applicable in most cases, especially dealing with market analysis. We look forward to more fruitful outcome resulting from your studies. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we shall now proceed to the next presenter, effectively a fourth presenter. We have Mr. Salam Osman Fagiri, University of Nizwa, Oman, will be presenting a paper on analyzing customer satisfaction over telecom companies in Sudan using a priori algorithm. For this purpose, we would like to have Mr. Salim Osman on screen. Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum, and very good day to all of you. I'll be presenting our paper entitled Analyzing Customer Satisfaction Over Telecommunication Companies in Sudan using a priori algorithm. The paper prepared by Salam Fagiri, Arab Yasami, ICMeSH. I am in Muayyad. We are all from Department of Information Systems, College of Economics, Management and Information Systems, University of Nizwa, Sultanate of Oman. This is the outlines of our research paper. We'll start by a brief introduction about our research. Sudan, one of the African countries, having 3 telecommunication companies known as Zain, MTN, and Sudani. Actually, with rapid growth in the field of information and communication technologies, the demand for telecommunication and internet services increased over the years. And although there is a great competition between those three companies, in order to attract more new customers and also to keep the existing customers satisfied, many new and existing customers still have some apprehensions over the difficulty on how to choose the best among the services provided in terms of full range of services with affordable cost. Those companies are concentrated on different type of services like call, bill payment, data service, roaming service, and also social responsibilities. The objective of this research simply is to analyze customer satisfaction over telecommunication companies. The survey questionnaire designed to design and distribute it electronically to many customers, and then we analyze it by using the frequent item sets mining and also extracting their association rules. As we said, we have three companies: Zain, MTN, and Sudani. Sudani is our biggest market share of 42%, and also we have MTN and also we have Sudani. This is a briefly the literature review. We concentrate on some related works that is doing the same type of investigation. Those companies or those companies who are providing the internet services and telecommunications, the research papers that is being done is concentrated on the different factors such as network quality, stability of the services, also the service cost, and many kind of factors. Those authors are using or use different tools like SPSS, and also they benchmark using ANOVA and T-test as analytical tools. In our methodology, we investigate the problem, we collect the data, we just design the approach. In our approach, we have a questionnaire preparation, which is having different activities like data pre-processing and the other activities. Then we identify the mining methods, which is a prior algorithm, which is one of the reputed frequent item set and association rule mining algorithm. Then we test our approach. We do testing multiple times till we satisfy with our result, and then we come up to the end of our research. In our research, the survey questionnaire designed and distributed electronically to many customers to find their opinions about the services. Actually, we have the questionnaire consists of 8 sections. In the quality of services itself, we have 104 questions. The customers respond based on the company which provide a various services like call and internet. And an online survey had been used to collect feedback from 440 responders in 7 days. This survey has distributed in several parts of Sudanese telecommunication companies such as MTN, Zain, and Sudani. In our methods, as we said before, we use association rule. An association rule is a two-step process as known. In the first part, we find the frequent item set or the frequent buttons. Then the item that is being declared as frequent, we use it for extracting the association rule. Actually, the methods consist of 2 parts. In the first part, we use frequency to measure the support, which is having a specific formula. And then the items which is being declared as frequent will be used to extract their relationship or to get the strength of the relationship between 2 different items. It means here, if we have one company as a choice, what will be the second company as a second choice, and so on. This is actually will be measured by association rule or by the confidence, and which is being having a specific formula. Then This is actually our data set, which is consists of complex data, and actually association rule itself, it's a complex process, and also it's computationally expensive, because we have, in like this kind of data set, we will be having a number of transactions. The transaction which also consists of many kind of information or data. Then also we need to have a list of candidates. We need to compare those items or candidates in order to come up with the results. Why we use data mining actually? Because data mining is aimed to reduce the number of candidates, reducing the number of comparison, and also reducing the number of transactions, as it's a part of, as when we do a research in this kind of data, it's having some kind of complex data, and also it will be consuming the processor and also the memory usage. This is the result of our research. In our simulation system, we use a priori, which is one of the reputed and well-known algorithms implemented in Java. The hardware used HP Core i7 with 16 GB RAM. We use Windows 10, 64 bits. The data set, as we said before, consists of 24 questions, including 104 questions related to the quality of services. The first result, as is being shown here, is talking about what will be the second choice beside the first choice that's selected as a SIM card. Here, for example, in this sample, people who are using Sudani as a first choice or a first SIM card, they use they use Zen as a second choice, and they use MTN as a second choice. People who are using Zen as a first choice or a first SIM card, they will use MTN as a second choice, and they may be having also additional Zen SIM card. That means they may be having two SIM cards related to the same company. Here for this result, people who are using MTN as a first choice or a first SIM card, they use Zen as a second choice, and they use same MTN. That means they do not use Sudani at all. Based on this investigation, here the total showing that Zen is having highest rank, and then MTN come into the second rank. In the other results, type of SIM card used in Khartoum. Khartoum actually is the capital of Sudan. It's having three famous cities: Omdurman, Khartoum, and Bahri. As it's seen in the results, Zen having highest rank in the three cities, then MTN come into second rank, and then Sudani at the third rank. This is actually the total samples showing Zen is the first, MTN second, and Sudan in the third. This is type of SIM card used with different periods. For example, here we have more than 10 years. People are using SIMs for more than 10 years. Zen is come into the first rank. Then here we have Sudani and then MTN. But for the period of that's using less than 1 year, Zen first choice, MTN and Sudani. For the period between 6 to 10 years, Zen is still having highest rank, then MTN and Sudani. For 1 to 5 years, also Zen having highest, MTN and Sudani. The average of all those showing that Zen having highest rank, then MTN coming to second, and then Sudani. This is also a comparison for providing good internet speeds. Then achieve high rank, then MTN and also Sudani. For companies providing best services and affordable price, MTN is still performing and having highest rank, then MTN and Sudani. The last result here, it seems that for companies providing a good quality call, we have Zen in the highest, having highest rank, MTN and Sudani. Based on this, it's clearly seen from the obtained results, Zen as a first company established the mobile services in Sudan have a highest rate in all services compared to the other two companies, MTN and Sudani. This study aimed at measuring the satisfactions of customers with telecommunication companies in Sudan. A survey questionnaire was designed and data collected from customers have been analyzed to find the frequent patterns and also extracting the associations using data mining techniques. The obtained results show that Zain Sudan performed comparatively better than MTN and Sudani in different kind of services provided to the customers in terms of quality of call, internet speed, and also the duration of using the SIM card, as well as also the cost of the provided services. As a future work, the study can be extended to cover other states besides Khartoum that may be affected by the coverage and also the quality of the services. Also, other kind of data mining techniques can be applied to find out which algorithms provide more accurate results. This is the references used in our study, and thank you for listening.
Interesting. Thank you for the interesting presentations by Mr. Salam Osman. Indeed, it was really fruitful discussions involving the telecommunication companies in Sudan. Let us move on with Q&A sessions. But before that, can I get confirmation, Dr. Salam? Sorry, Mr. Salam? Okay, due to some important commitment, Mr. Salam is unable to join the session now, Q&A session now. Let us complete the two more presentations, and then probably towards the end, we try to get Mr. Salam into the discussions. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Mr. Salam. We shall proceed to the next presenter, effectively the fifth presenter. Again, we have Mr. Said Ahmad from University Technology Petronas, who will be presenting on assessing audit fees, turnover, inflation, and minimum stipend rate. Okay, without much ado, let us have Mr. Said on screen. Thank you very much.
This is Sayyid Imad Azhar Ali from University Technology Petronas, Malaysia, and I am here to present my paper entitled Assessing Audit Fee, Turnover, Inflation and Minimum Stipend Rate. The other co-authors for this paper are Associate Prof. Dr. Lai Hong Boon, Sadriwala Kanis Fatma, and Alkio Sami from University of Minnesota. Actually, Ms. Kanis Fatma and Dr. Alkio Sami both are from University of Minnesota, and I am presenting this paper on behalf of them as well. So Dr. Alkio Sami was actually the corresponding author. So since he was not available, so I am presenting this paper as a part of the authorship team. I am not presenting this paper. Also, I am the first author for this paper. The background of our study is based on the interesting subject of audit fee. To begin with, let's brief up with some terms which are which is necessary to understand to proceed further. Every public limited company is mandatory to have an annual audit by an audit firm, audit of financial statement, audit of financial accounts. Actually, this audit is supposed to be is provided by audit firm, which is generally a partnership firm. Audit firm provide these services to the public limited company, and in lieu of those services, audit firm used to charge audit fee. And this audit fee determination is the subject of our study. Audit fee, the determination of audit fee. audit fee determination based on the different dimensions and different of the company and the country. It has been on a review of literature, it was found. However, there is no conclusive evidence as to most significant determinant of audit fee. The debate is still going on. However, there are few factors which are found as most significant in previous studies, namely firm size, current ratio, leverage ratio, firm's turnover, and country's inflation. However, there are very few studies which have actually addressed the issue of stipend rate being given to the audit firm's employees, especially the lower level employees, that is the audit apprentices. That very few studies have included this stipend rate as a determinant of audit fee. The situation becomes further interesting when, in the case of Pakistan, a developing country, the governing body, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, ICAP, they issued a notification few years ago, namely ATR 14. According to this notification, the stipend rate, the one of the most important cost factor of an audit firm, increased by 200% for all apprentices at all levels. So, of course, it was a cost pressure on all audit firms, and we aim to identify that whether the stipend rate increase does have has any effect on the audit fee being charged by an audit firm to its client, that is the public limited company. Why we are focusing on Pakistan? There are very few studies in the context of developing country like Pakistan, and since of course the ATR 14 belongs to the Pakistan's governing body, Institute of Chartered Accountants of Pakistan, so we based on that we progress this study. Two research questions and two research objectives. Our first research objective is on the previous dimensions which have been identified on previous studies, which have been examined in the context of a developed country. However, these factors will now be determined in the case of Pakistan, and what is the role of firm and country dimensions in determination of audit fees in Pakistan. Second research question is about the stipend rate, the new factor which we want to increase in the audit fee determination model. That whether the stipend rate increase does have any impact on the audit fee in Pakistan. So the second research question is addressing that. Research objectives parallel to that is accordingly to analyze the role of firm and country dimensions in the determination of audit fees in Pakistan. Secondly, to evaluate the role of stipend fee in audit fees determination in Pakistan. 6 research hypotheses have been formulated. Our top 5 research hypotheses based on firm and country dimensions. What are those firm dimensions? The total assets, current ratio, leverage ratio, annual turnover. Our 4 hypotheses are examining that whether the firm dimensions have any impact on the audit fees in Pakistan, number 1. Then the country dimension, that is country's rate of inflation, has a considerable influence on audit fees of determination in Pakistan. And at 6, that is the hypothesis 6, it's a new hypothesis, we claim that the stipend rate does have any effect on the audit fees determination in Pakistan. That is after 2008. Why we are taking? Because after 2008 the ATR was issued. Methodology, 4 years of annual data. It's a panel data of 4 years from 2014 till 2017, and the data will be collected from annual reports. Top 40 public limited companies from Pakistan Stock Exchange will be the data of those 40 public top limited companies will be gathered for 4 years. And the data analysis, first of all, we will be doing a multiple linear regression on e-views, and later on we will be testing the Gaussian assumptions, the Jog-Bara test for normality, test of homoscedasticity, multicollinearity, autocorrelation. These tests will be examined, will be measured. Our model will be written like this way: audit fee determinant, the 6 based on 6 hypotheses, total assets, leverage, current ratio, inflation, turnover, and the different levels of stipend. Results: fixed effect was found as more suitable for our model after comparing with fixed effect and random effect. The current ratio and stipend rate were found as the significant variable in determination of audit fee. Adjusted R square was found as 83.4%, 0.8342. That is that actually represents that our model represents 83% variation in the audit fees. That is 83% variation in audit fees will explained by the current ratio and stipend rate. So from our 6 hypotheses, 2 of them were accepted, while the remaining 4 of them were rejected. To conclude with, the management audit firms can consider the factor of stipend rate as a new basis for finalizing the audit fees for a client. Management of companies, the public limited companies, also need to consider the current ratio of a client, which can play a dominant role in the determination of audit fees. So the future research study is still open. That whether what are the factors which are actually measuring and actually affecting the audit fee. With this note, thank you very much. Sayyid Imad Azhar Ali signing off, and thank you very much.
Presentation, Mr. Said Ahmad did a very good question. We shall proceed to Q&A sessions. We have a question here. Can we extend the implications of this study to other countries such as Malaysia?
Okay, may I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Of course, we can extend this implication of this study to developing countries, and especially those countries where the audit apprentices are working, and there has been an increase in the apprentices. Because the main purpose, one of the primary purpose of this study is to examine the role of stipend rate, the stipend rate which has been given, which is being given to CA. Chartered accountancy apprentice students who are actually working for audit firms. So whenever the regulator in every country is there any change in that particular stipend rate, the audit fees is expected to change. So of course we can examine the implication of this study to other countries. And importantly, in this study we have found that some factors which were found significant in other developed countries like UK, US, like in this case, we have assets and leverage ratio inflation were found as insignificant. We can further examine that, further leaves a gray area for future researchers that can be further examined for and in the context of Malaysia as well.
Okay. Just to add on another question, in line with the study that you have made, is there any triangulation made, because it is more on supporting the audit fees, the factors affecting audit fees, any triangulation made with the agency problem created by management and how capable they are in detecting those things? So is the fee correlated with their negligence as well in your studies?
Negligence as well. I will consider that.
Because like on case, we paid them a lot, but then they actually work with the management, in a way cooperated with management and played out the company. So in your study, are you including agency costs or any form of agency problem to triangulate your studies here?
Prof, at current level, we have not incorporated that, but we have planned to extend the study. Already, the discussion is already the discussion is on table to extend this study to Oman, to Omani firms. As our other co-authors are from Oman, we are in discussion that we can have a comparative study of Oman and Pakistan concerning problem. And of course, given your suggestion, we will also incorporate this factor of agency theory into our model as well, and I hope this will further improvise the results.
Yeah, I believe your findings will definitely seen as will be of great help, especially to practitioners, in whatever way is possible for them to understand exactly what is really expected and the factors affecting their fees. Very interesting study, Mr. Said. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentations and clear explanations. Thank you a lot. Thanks.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Okay, now we move on to the last but not least, the sixth presenter. We have Miss Emily Rogers from Swinburne University of Technology, Sarawak, who will be presenting on factors influencing community participations in community-based ecotourism in Padawan, Sarawak. Yeah, I believe this is going to be a very interesting sessions on ecosystems and coming from East Malaysia. Thank you very much. Let us have Miss Emily on screen. Thank you very much.
Greetings, everyone. So, for today's conference, I would like to present my research titled Factors Influencing Community Participation in Community-Based Ecotourism in Padawan, Sarawak. I am Emily Anna Rogers from Swinburne University of Technology, Sarawak Campus, Malaysia. So, as we all know, that Malaysia is rich with natural and cultural resources that can make ecotourism as an economic contribution. So, this study actually conducted in Padawan, which is located at sub-district of the Kuching City, Sarawak, and it has become more popular with its ecotourism experiences that mentally involved with adventure, culture, and nature. So the tourist attractions that are available there, such as hot spring, jungle trekking, kayaking, and hiking. So the community-based ecotourism is known as platform for rural areas communities to participate in conducting ecotourism services, which can improve their standard of living by earning, provide job, and gain local empowerment. Community participation in CBE supporting sustainability development goal 2020, we can see that goal number one is no poverty, where CBE can alleviate poverty, diversify economic activity, and increase indigenous goods and services. It also supporting goal number 8, which is decent work and economic growth. CBE brings positive economic impacts towards communities as well as giving more employment opportunities. Sustainable cities and communities, it helps the communities to preserve their culture, traditions, and heritage. Partnership for the goals, it is important for the communities to partner with government, business, non-profit, funding and development agencies in order to be more successful in the services. In this study, it involved three keywords such as community-based ecotourism, which is a new form of tourism product that managed by the local communities, community participation, that fully responsible in decision making, planning, evaluation, and also management in ecotourism. The MOA model, which is opportunity, ability, motivation, opportunity, ability model, it involves on how the motivation could fulfill the need for a condition, an appropriate method, and opportunity to participate in the process of ecotourism and the ability to continue. So the aim of this research, it investigates factors influencing community participation in CBE of Padawan, Sarawak. So there are 6 selected villages that involved under this research, such as Sadir, Giam, Danu, Analais, Madang, and Bunok. The significance of this research actually benefits the policymakers, such as government agencies, profit and non-profit organizations, as well as ecotourism providers, to categorize the ecotourism needs of Padawan communities to tackle investigated issues. So at the end of the research, we found some strategic recommendations for the improvement of CBD in Padawan. Methodology, it's actually an exploratory qualitative research which employs novel sampling technique where we have to meet with Padawan Council first in order to get context for the village chief, and then gathered all the villagers and ecotourism providers in order to attend focus group interview. So for each group interview, we had 7 to 10 ecotourism providers in all villages per village. So after gather all of the information, we categorize it by using the adaptation of MOA and analyzing the participants' perspective. So for this finding, there are actually 12 factors that we could find here, but over here during the conference, I would like to emphasize on all of the villagers' same problem. So we can see that they had a problem in financial constraints where they have limited budget in conducting the ecotourism activities, limited facilities as well due to lack of water supply, electricity, as well as road condition and transportation. So for the skills limitation, they expressed that they do not have good communication skills in order to speak with tourists or foreigners, and they are not confident enough to present on their businesses. So the conclusion of this research it actually investigates community participation in CBE of Padawan Sarawak. So it involves 6 villages as per mentioned just now. So the application of the MO model used to analyze the categories of contributing factors that affect the participation in CBE. So there were actually 12 factors that they collected, such as lack of interest, lack of exposure, lack of income, financial constraints, limited facilities, lack of awareness, inconsistent tourists, and challenging infrastructure, lack of employment, lack of leadership, skills limitation, and lack of youngster support. So for the recommendation that we could suggest for these studies, it is important for the government or the agencies that related could increase the CBE awareness towards the communities so they could understand the importance of conducting it, the benefits of conducting it, and in order to improve marketing strategies and partnering with external bodies, the communities could partner with government such as the tourism board as well as the private companies such as tours companies, so they could capture large market for the businesses as well. It is also essential to provide CBE training programs for the local communities where they have to know on the basic operation of it, the policy or the rules and regulation that is being enforced by the government as well as the statutory bodies, so that they could they could present their businesses in a better way. So that's all from my presentation. Feel free to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation by Miss Emily Roberts. It's a great pleasure to have you here. Okay, we now shall proceed to Q&A sessions. We would like to have questions. Do you have any? There is one aspect people would like to know, Miss Emily. With
Alright,
this,
sure.
this is a very interesting area, and I'm really, I personally look at it. Also, coming from the participants, how would this initiative, the study that you may going to create some kind of value, economic value among the community members. Say, for example, by how much income might go up. Is there any specific expected results that you are dealing with this study?
All right.
Thank you.
Throughout the studies, I realized that they did not have a proper what we call management system as well. They did not have a proper record, like how much do they get, how much tourists do they receive, So there was one of the weakness that we conclude in a factor, which is they have lack of skills in managing the businesses, which includes with the skills like how do they manage the finance, how do they manage the marketing, how do they manage and communicate with the agencies, communicate with the government, especially this is very important when they want to apply grant, ecotourism grant in conducting the ecotourism services. So it's really important of this study where we could emphasize to the policymakers as well as the agencies that related can put a lot of effort in training, training on how to give them confidence, what is the proper way to improve what they currently have. For example, like how to do a proper marketing. Now we are integrating into digitalization. Many of them, especially rural areas, because ecotourism is actively involved in rural areas, so they have a lot of difficulties in facing and controlling digitalization. Yeah. So this research is actually significant for the policymakers as well as the agencies, where they could see where should they involve or where should they invest in order to improve the current situation of ecotourism in Palawan, because they already have cultures, heritage, and as well as natures. But what they are lacking of are the facilities, as well as the community's knowledge and awareness, the community-based ecotourism awareness. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very interesting explanations. Thank you very much, Ms. Emily. I
All
really
right.
appreciate the kind of insightful information you have shared with us. Uh, Many thanks. Thank you for the explanations, Ms. Emily. All right, don't leave now.
Sure, sure.
We have things to. As a chair of these sessions, I would like to highlight a few facts. The overall, contents of this of the papers that we have. What do you call that? Presented. I mean, presented by all the members here. The presenters have actually covered 6 papers. And interestingly, I can see that these papers cover, one is on the community, the impact. It's about business or economic, but on the community. Another one is on the business sector as well. This is actually consistent with the guiding mantra used by the government, or rather always wanted by the government, please, all companies to embark on ESG, environment, society,
Mm-hmm.
governance. So I look at it, a few papers on corporate, or rather we call this capital market. Another paper is very much skewed to the community. We also have some marketing papers also done on community. So the entrepreneurial education also meant for community. So I think we have listened to some interesting aspects of community development as well as business development. I think overall these sessions will be of great help, especially not only to the government, not only to the academic or the scholars, also meant for the industry practitioners. Probably some interesting issues can be actually considered for some implementations, and it goes to Ms. Emily's work.
All
This,
right, sure.
this has got some pragmatic issues as well. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank all presenters and all participants for the great sessions we had. And don't leave now. Before we leave, I would like to have all presenters please come on screen, show me your face,
All right.
and we will have a photo. Thank you very much. Okay, Dr. Roslyn, who is taking photo? Somebody has to. Are we done? Okay. Dr. Roslyn, would you like to appear on screen as well? No. No? All right, all right.
They will share to the group, right?
Yeah. Thank you, thank you. I think, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for the wonderful presentations. Thank you for giving us insightful information, and your participation in the Q&A sessions also be remembered for some important sharings that you have made. Thanks a lot.
And thank you, Rob, for your feedback.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you a lot. So with that, we end our sessions. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mashida.
Thank you for being our
Thank
MC
you.
today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Rosalind. Thank you, Ms. Mashida.
Thank you
Thank
for
you, Dr.
organizing.
Manan.
Really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Great, great. What, Mashita?
Yes.
Done, huh? Finish, huh?
Can Dr. Rosalie